What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the pod. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler and can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Monday, August 17th. We'll start it off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, kicking things off with the bad news as shortstop Dansby Swanson was placed on the 10-day IL with an oblique strain. Oblique strains can always be difficult for baseball players to return from because of the rotational nature of the sport. So Swanson could miss 3 to 6 weeks depending on the severity of the injury, though there's a possibility that it's a very mild strain and that he's back in the minimum 10 days, though I wouldn't bet on it. Second baseman Nico Horner shifted over to shortstop, so he will handle everyday shortstop duties for the Cubs in the absence of Dansby Swanson. And second baseman Pedro Ramirez will take over at the keystone position to replace Nico Horner. Outfielder Kevin Alcantara was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move, and shortstop Owen Miller was selected from the minors as second baseman James Triantos was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. In other Cubs injury news, starting pitcher Edward Cabrera was placed on the 15-day IL with a finger blister. Cabrera made just one start after returning from the IL over the weekend, during which a blister developed and forced him back to the IL in record time. Starting pitcher Javier Assad was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move, and he'll replace Cabrera in the rotation, and he's expected to start Saturday in Seattle. Outfielder Austin Martin was placed on the 10-day IL with a hamstring strain. He's been on the short side of a left field platoon all year. He started off really hot, has been really cold lately. Alan Rodin will be on the short side of a left field platoon to replace Austin Martin, but it's a pretty interesting, weird one, as Trevor Larnach is on the strong side of that left field platoon. He's a left-handed hitter, but so is Alan Rodin. You rarely see a lefty on the short side, but Larnach really struggles against left-handed pitching, and Rodin is fine against them. So it'll be an awkward platoon there, but the Twins are making things work. Catcher Alex Jackson was selected from the minors in a corresponding move. And lastly, starting pitcher Max Fried was placed on the 15-day IL with an elbow bone bruise. The timeline for Fried's return remains unclear, but that's another big blow to the Yankees rotation. He's going to be immediately replaced, though, and we'll talk about his replacement when we get to the news section. Let's talk about some transactions. Starting pitcher Quinn Matthews was recalled from the minors to start in the first half of St. Louis's doubleheader in Cincinnati. Matthews went 4 innings, allowing 2 hits and 1 earned run, walking 3 while striking out 7, inducing 12 whiffs with 28% CSW across 95 pitches. And Matthews' changeup command was exceptional, but his fastball command was not, and it wasn't as elite as it was in his debut with an inch less IVB. I still see the potential in Matthews for 2027 if he can work on improving his control, but regardless, in 2026, he'll return right back to the minors as the 27th man in that double header. So hopefully we see him back up in the majors in September. Next, starting pitcher Shane McClanahan was activated from the 15-day IL to start versus the Orioles. He missed more than 2 weeks with mid-back tightness, but he returned to toss 3 1/3 innings, allowing 4 hits with 3 earned runs, walking nobody while striking out 3, inducing 6 whiffs with 26% CSW across 57 pitches. And McClanahan, returning from the IL with a short rehab stint, had a limited pitch count, and he had a very poor secondary command as his non-fastballs returned 48% strikes. So he really struggled to find the zone with those secondary pitches, and that made it difficult for McClanahan to pitch deep into this game and prevent damage against his heater, because those secondaries weren't able to take the pressure off the heater, so batters were just able to sit fastball and crush it. And McClanahan may need a couple starts to get back up to speed, but I trust the Rays to get the most out of him, as they do with every pitcher. Reliever Joe Boyle was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. Next, first baseman Christopher Morel was selected from the minors by the Mets. He was terrible with the Marlins in the majors, batting 162 with no homers and an 18 WRC plus, but since being DFA'd and landing with the Mets, he's been amazing at AAA, batting 321 with 12 homers and a 168 WRC plus. Morel is likely to be on the short side of a first base / designated hitter platoon with Jared Young and Jorge Polanco. Third baseman Gabriel Arias was designated for assignment in a corresponding move. Next, outfielder O'Neal Cruz was activated from the 60-day IL after missing more than 2 months with a fractured hand. He'll return to being the Pirates' everyday center fielder, showing off some of the loudest tools in baseball. That's O'Neal Cruz. Outfielder Ronnie Simon was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. Next, third baseman Michael Garcia was activated from the 10-day IL after missing a month and a half with a hand muscle strain. Garcia will return to being the Royals' everyday third baseman. It's been a tough year for Garcia after back-to-back really underrated, awesome seasons from Michael Garcia. So hopefully he finishes this season strong to set him up for a big 2027. Nick Lofton will move to the short side of a second base platoon after handling a lot of duties at third base, while third baseman Josh Rojas was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. In other Royals injury returnees, first baseman Vinny Pasquantino was activated from the 10-day IL after missing a couple of weeks with wrist soreness, which was sort of a product of the hamate fracture and surgery that he had earlier in the year. It's been a tough year for Pasquantino, as well as he's dealt with underperformance and injuries all year right there alongside Michael Garcia. Pasquantino will return to his everyday role at first base, which will send Jack Caglione to right field and force John Rave to the bench, and will send outfielder Starling Marte off of the 40-man roster as he was designated for assignment. Next, speaking of other guys designated for assignment, starting pitcher Michael Lorenzen was designated for assignment, and it was only a matter of time. Lorenzen's been far and away the worst pitcher in baseball this year. He's allowed the most earned runs, and it's hard to blame him. He's been pitching in Coors for the Rockies, so it's not the best circumstances, but it was not working out for Lorenzen this year. We'll see if he lands with another squad. Reliever TJ Shook was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move. And next, starting shortstop, Jordan Lawler was activated from the 10-day IL after missing nearly 2 months with a hamstring strain. Lawler will be a key member of the Diamondbacks moving forward, as he will be their everyday center fielder. This post-hype prospect has dealt with injuries, just countless, endless injuries throughout his career. He's already been on the IL twice this year, so hopefully he can finish the season not only strong, but also healthy. Jordan Lawler will be the Diamondbacks everyday center fielder moving forward, which will force Ryan Waldschmidt to the short side of a left field platoon with Max Kepler, as first baseman Tyler Locklear was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. We also saw Jose Fernandez recalled from the minors. He'll be on the short side of a designated hitter slash first base platoon, which will feature guys like Tim Tawa, Lars Nootbaar, Ildemaro Vargas, and Ketel Marte, as all those guys are sort of shifting through that DH first base role alongside the former Tyler Locklear and guys like Max Kepler as well. So it's a bit hectic there in Arizona. But Fernandez, in his return to the majors, filled in at third base with Nolan Arenado getting an MRI for an intercostal injury, while Ketel Marte is on the restricted list. So there's a lot of guys filling in. There's a lot of moving parts, but it should sort itself out in Arizona. There's plenty of talent there. And in other Arizona injury returnees news, reliever Justin Martinez was activated from the 60-day IL after missing the entire season following Tommy John surgery, which he underwent last June. But Martinez is back, and he was one of the best relievers in baseball prior to his injury. He can throw well over 100 miles per hour. I'm excited to see where his velocity is at when he returns to the majors, but he is definitely somebody that gets right into the closer conversation in Arizona just immediately. We will need to see him work his way up to high leverage situations. I'd be very surprised if he's just thrown right into the fire in the 9th inning, but Martinez should be on the fast track to the 9th inning, which should put Brandon Garcia's closer job in jeopardy. Reliever Gerardo Carrillo was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. And in terms of news, starting pitcher Matt Tugboat Wilkinson is expected to be selected from the minors today to make his MLB debut in Cleveland for the Giants. He's got one of the best nicknames in baseball. The 23-year-old Southpaw was acquired from the Guardians in the Patrick Bailey trade earlier this year. And at AA and AAA, Wilkinson has pitched to a 3.40 ERA with an even one whip and a 27% strikeout rate. He's not a top-ranked prospect or anything, but he's certainly proven to pitch better than expected. expected. So we'll see how he does in the majors. I think this is one I'm very excited for as a Giants fan. Next, starting pitcher Carlos Rodon is expected to be activated from the 15-day IL today to start in Baltimore. Rodon has missed a month and a half with elbow inflammation, and he will be a direct replacement for the injured Max Fried in the Yankees rotation. And lastly, starting pitcher Ethan Pecco is expected to be selected from the minors tomorrow to make his MLB debut for the Astros versus the Angels. He'll be replacing Ronel Blanco, who was optioned to the minors the other day. Pecco is a 23-year-old righty who is the Astros number 9 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline. He's got a 60 grade fastball, but he hasn't been that great in the minors. At low A and triple A, he's pitched to a 4.57 ERA, a 1.33 whip, and a 25% strikeout rate. But I'm excited to see what makes that fastball a 60 grade pitch and to see if Pecco is somebody that could establish himself as somebody to keep an eye on for 2027, but he'll make his MLB debut versus the Angels on Wednesday. Now we can take a look at our notable performances from Monday, a day in which we had a short slate of 11 games. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with outfielder Pete Crow Armstrong, who helped the Cubs to a win against their city rivals, the White Sox. PCA went 4 for 5 with 2 runs, a double, 2 home runs, 3 runs batted in, a walk, and a steal to complete the combo meal. PCA is up to 30 home runs and 31 steals on the season now. He's the first player to 30-30 this year. His first homer went 376 feet at 101 miles per hour, and the second one was a walk-off home run as it traveled 391 feet at 99 miles per hour. So PCA 30-30 is the first player to do that this year. This is also the second consecutive year he's done so. Last year, we saw PCA joined by Julio Rodriguez, Francisco Lindor, Jazz Chisholm Jr., Corbin Carroll, Juan Soto, and Jose Ramirez, but none of those guys are on track to repeat in 2026. And the only player with a chance to join PCA as a 30-30 guy in the 30-30 club in 2026 is CJ Abrams. So PCA is one of the guys who's been one of the best players in baseball this year. He's got elite outfield defense in center field, which makes him a WAR darling, and it's put him in the conversation for the NL MVP. He's second in MLB this year with 89 runs, trailing only the injured James Wood. So there's a very big chance that he could surpass him by the end of the year. PCA is also third in MLB with a 929 OPS and 7th in MLB with his 30 home runs. So he's got a pretty darn good case for the NL MVP award, though he's going to have some stiff competition from designated hitter Shohei Ohtani, who helped the Dodgers to a win in Colorado, going 4 for 5 with 4 runs, 2 home runs, and 3 runs batted in. He's up to 39 home runs on the year now. Nope, that should be 29 home runs on the year now. His first one traveled 428 feet at 106 miles per hour, and the second one traveled 452 feet at 107 miles per hour, an absolute bomb. Ohtani has been incredible this year on the offensive end. He's second in baseball with his 948 OPS and in triples with 7. Actually, I think PCA is the one with 7 triples. Ohtani has not been a big triple guy this year, but he has been in the past. He has led his league in triples in the past. He is 9th in batting average, batting 295 on the year, and in runs with 81 and home runs with those 29. But the thing that makes Ohtani is the pitching. He hasn't pitched in a while, though, as he's been dealing with an injury, not enough to send him to the IL. And that's the thing that makes Ohtani so valuable. Even when he's not pitching, even when he's dealing with some sort of arm injury, he's still able to be one of the most elite bats in baseball. On the mound, he's made 14 starts with 8 wins across 85 and 2/3 innings with 95 strikeouts and a 1.79 ERA and a 0.95 whip. So the conversation becomes, does Ohtani's one-of-a-kind production outweigh his inability to stay healthy on the mound, and has his offense been enough to surpass somebody like PCA, who's provided more value on the base paths while being baseball's premier defender? So it's going to be a really interesting conversation at the end of the year. I'm going to be on Ohtani's side, despite being one of the biggest Dodgers haters out there. There's just nobody like Ohtani. I think if you had told people 10 years ago, if a guy's going to hit 35 bombs or more and bat 300, if the guy's going to have a 900 plus OPS and also have a sub-2 ERA on the mound, I don't think anybody would A, believe you, or B, say or push back against you as that guy being the MVP. It's pretty clear. I think there's just a lot of fatigue when it comes to Ohtani. He's already won 4 MVPs. I still think what he's doing will never be seen again and hasn't been seen since Babe Ruth. And even then, that was like a totally different universe that he was living in. So despite what PCA is doing, having one of the most incredible, both like all around seasons, 5-tool player there, PCA, I think what Ohtani does is just so spectacular and unique that there is nobody that can even come close to him. In our last notable hitter from Monday, third baseman Christian Encarnacion Strand did all he could, but the Orioles lost in Tampa Bay. He went 3 for 5 with a run, a home run, and 4 runs batted in. It was his 6th homer of the year, and it traveled 359 feet at 106 miles per hour. And I talked about Encarnacion Strand a couple of weeks ago, and I said if he got regular playing time, he'd be worth rostering everywhere. Well, I'm here to report that he started 6 straight games, and it's time to pick him up if you need help in the corner infield. Encarnacion Strand has got an insane 21% barrel rate on the season, displaying an innate ability to create ideal contact. Encarnacion Strand is a post-hype prospect with breakout potential at 26 years old, and he could hit plenty of home runs down the stretch as long as his everyday role in the Orioles lineup remains. The longer he sustains this performance, the better chance he has of sticking in that lineup. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Monday, check out the daily Batters Box article over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, and there really weren't that many great ones, but Shota Imanaga was great against the White Sox, tossing 6 innings, allowing 2 hits with 3 earned runs, 3 walks with 10 strikeouts. He induced 20 whiffs with 39% CSW across 96 pitches and Imanaga earned the golden goal as he led baseball with 20 whiffs to earn the gallows pole, and he earned the King Cole by leading baseball with 39% CSW, and he is back in business. Imanaga survived what was nearly a pretty bad rough patch brought on by a dip in velocity directly opening the second half, but he's recovered to showcase his highest velocity since before the All-Star break. It's still just 91 to 92 miles per hour, but every tick counts when you're throwing that slowly. And Imanaga's been a drastically different performer at 90 to 91 miles per hour versus 92 plus, becoming super homer prone the more hittable his heater becomes. Imanaga had great pitch separation on Monday with 4-seamer sitting upstairs for 5 whiffs and 31% CSW, but it was really his signature splitter that shined, sitting low in arm side to induce a whopping 15 whiffs with 56% CSW as the splitter finished off 8 batters with strikeouts. The fear of Imanaga's decline is gone, obsolete, and it's all systems go in Seattle up next. Lastly, we've got Blake Snell in Colorado as he helped the Dodgers to a win by going 6 innings with 2 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts. He induced 17 whiffs with 32% CSW across 90 pitches. And Snell looked great in his return from the injured list, and he followed it up by not only surviving Coors, but excelling there. The signature high walk rate is back as he walked a trio of batters on Monday, as Snell is unwilling to give in deep counts and come into the zone when he's backed into a corner, and that's worked out well for him, not only here, but throughout his career. 4-seamers skirted damage throughout the game by stealing 10 called strikes and producing 14 foul balls, while his secondaries did all the damage below the zone with curveballs, changeups, and sliders, inducing at least 5 whiffs apiece and combining for 38% CSW. This is peak Snell, and he should have no problem versus the Pirates next. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Monday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves. Starting with the former, Brian Baker recorded his MLB leading 35th save with a scoreless 5-out outing. Yohan Duran worked around a run for his 27th save. Kenley Jansen pitched a perfect ninth for his 16th save. Daniel Duarte recorded his 2nd save with a perfect ninth. And the Mets may not want to turn to the career starting pitcher Kodai Senga for back-to-back days or in 3 of the past 4 as they stayed away from him here. I think they don't want to overwork him as he's a reliever for the first time ever. And I think they are so far out of it right now. There's no reason to risk the injury of a player that's going to be around next year. Steven Cruz recorded his 5th save with a perfect ninth. Yoendrys Gomez pitched a hitless ninth for his 18th save, and Riley O'Brien recorded his NL leading 31st save of the season. In terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or blow their saves, Jacob Webb pitched a hitless 10th in a tie game, and he earned his 5th win when the Cubs walked it off in the bottom half. Edwin Diaz allowed 3 runs, pitching the 9th up by 9, and it looks like the Dodgers are trying to get Edwin Diaz back into rhythm by throwing him in low-leverage situations, and it does not seem to be working. Lastly, Emilio Pagan pitched a hitless 10th in a tie game, and he earned his 5th win when the Reds walked it off in the bottom half. But if you'd like more information on relief pitchers, check out Rick Graham's daily articles over on PitcherList.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. And we're back. Let's look forward to Tuesday, August 18th, a day in which we'll have a full slate of 15 games. My matchup of the day is Kyle Harrison versus Bryce Miller. Both of these guys have seen a bit of struggles recently. Harrison more so with injuries, but his last start was not great. And Miller has seen his velocity fall, and it seems like maybe those bone chips in his elbow are starting to really affect him. Both of these guys really need a rebound performance here, and they both have ace potential. So I'm excited to see how they do squaring off against each other. In terms of probable starters, we've got three guys in the auto starts tier: Zach Wheeler versus the Marlins, Kevin Gausman versus the White Sox, and Braxton Ashcraft versus the Tigers. Our probably starts tier has 8 guys, and our questionable starts tier has 9, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Christian Javier versus the Angels. He's got great breaking stuff. His fastball's got great shape. He's introduced a cutter this year as well to assist, and the Angels are a lineup that is very inferior right now, inferior to the rest of the league when it comes to offense. So Javier should have no problem there against the Angels. I'd also keep an eye out on the other side of that game for George Clausen in Houston. He's a guy with a pretty solid pitch mix, fastball, slider, changeup, and we've been waiting for him to figure out how to command it, how to control it, how to throw it for strikes. And he finally did that in his last outing after doing so in the minors for a while. And if he can carry that over into the start in Houston, he should pitch pretty well. If you're looking for a pitcher with an opener, Tyler Phillips will have an opener in Philadelphia. Eric Fetty will have an opener on the north side of Chicago. And Mason Black will have an opener hosting the A's. In terms of hitter suggestions, I target Cardinals and Reds hitters in Great American Ballpark, one of the best hitters parks in baseball. We'll see Kyle Leahy square off against Andrew Abbott in that one. I'd also target Royals hitters versus Jack Perkins in Kauffman Stadium. Perkins has a 7.27 ERA on the year. And lastly, I target Rockies and Dodgers hitters in Coors Field. It's one of the best hitters parks in baseball, if not the best hitters park in baseball. We'll see Eric Lauer square off against Ryan Feltner in that one. And now we can close things out with our relievers to watch. Yohan Duran has pitched on back-to-back days, but so have Jonathan Bolin, Orion Kerkering, and Brooks Raley. So Jose Alvarado might be the first man up, but I'd love to see somebody like Alex McFarland get a shot in high-leverage situations. He's a pretty unknown name, but he is a rookie reliever who throws 100 miles per hour. Just what the Phillies need, another hard-throwing reliever. So we'll see who replaces Yohan Duran in the bullpen in the ninth inning on Tuesday. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler, where I do daily SP streamers and I break down every single start via the Pitcher List Stats player cards. Tune into YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast, and make sure to enjoy the day as we're blessed with another day of baseball.